start to put tension on my string drawback, I was like, okay, I'm gonna smoke.
It's him. You can look at the horns when he's dead. I'm in the zone. Let the arrow go is perfect.
When they lose their front shoulders, you start, that's how you know they're smoking.
Went about 5-10 more yards. We probably went 20 yards total. Tipped them. We tried getting back up. And I saw him pull up.
We rushed 4 meters rods that night. We got like 156 and something like that. And then the next day we came up to 163 even.
You're listening to the White Cat Outdoors podcast, bringing you to the table where we talk about the outdoors.
Hope you guys don't mind. I'm going to crack a beer. I just woke up from a nap so we could record episode 135 of the White Cat Outdoors podcast. So excuse me if I'm sounding a little lackadaisical. I just woke up and I'm not 100% awake yet. So yeah, 135. Nick and Tom are both here. It's been a while since we've spoke with Tom, so it's good to have you back.
People were starting to wonder.
Yeah.
People down here are starting
They were
to
leaving
murmur.
it in the comments the whole time you were gone.
Can't believe you missed it.
I'm alive and well. I've just been busy working on the farm, just getting stuff ready for archery seasons right around the corner.
Indeed.
You know what else is right around the corner that we haven't even mentioned yet? The Palooza.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I mean, I didn't forget about it, but I forgot that we haven't mentioned it.
Yeah, so I guess if there's any locals, you're gonna get a hold of us. Come down, get some good food.
Yeah. PM us.
It's going to be a wild time.
Nobody says PM anymore.
Yeah, nobody says that.
What do they say?
DM.
Yeah.
Oh.
This isn't AOL.
Never used AOL. DM us.
You're too young for that.
Way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
All right, enough of that.
Let's get into the meat potatoes, huh, Tom?
Yes, why don't we?
So what are we talking about since you're never here anymore? What are we talking about?
We're going to be talking about what I've been doing while I have not been present at the podcast, which is how we prep food plots, what we're planting in our food plots, and then how...
These are more fall food plots.
Yeah, fall.
Yeah, because we talked about the beans and such.
Yeah, but
we're also going to kind of incorporate it because we had some logging done up there. You guys had some logging done up there. I didn't pay for shit.
We don't pay for
pay. Yeah. I guess I'm not getting paid for shit. Yeah, we're going to talk about how we're kind of incorporating the logging, how we think it's going to change the property a little bit, and what we're doing with our food plots and all that. Just how we're going to attack the whole piece of property this fall.
And I think it's going to be a good year.
Mm-hmm.
So really the only thing that we've been lacking on that farm the past couple years is thick cover.
Yeah, we've got the swamp, but that's like right on the edge of the property.
Yeah.
Well, and
in the swamp, it
keeps flooding with the beaver population, so it's like...
Oh, they still use the shit out of it.
Yeah, but it's not like bedding. You know, it's definitely cover for them, but I mean, just with all the water in there, I don't see a ton of deer bedding.
We've pushed it quite a few times in rifle season, and I see very little beds inside there. Most of the beds are down by your stand.
Yeah, because that's not as flooded. That's mostly red brush over there.
But yeah, we don't have a big area of thick nastiness that nobody goes into.
Yeah.
But we're going to. So I don't think we'll have it quite this year. We'll have a lot of tops, which the deer will use as cover.
Yeah, I think that's really going to change, especially like on Nick's side of the property, because there's not a ton of trees over like where I hunt. It's mostly like the apples over there and that red brush and stuff. So I don't think it'll still change stuff, but on Nick's side is where most of the logging is happening. So I definitely think it's going to change a lot of stuff as far as how they're getting into the food plots, where they're going. Their travel corridors are going to change a little bit. They're going to be using those tops that are down to browse and stuff. I think your end of the property is really going to see a change.
Big time. But I think it's all going to be for the good. I think it's going to take probably a season. It's not going to take long for the deer to adjust to it. But it's just going to take us some time to figure out how they adjusted.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, as soon as they get out of there, which is supposed to be in another 2 weeks, maybe 1 week, get some cameras deployed up there and just try and figure out what they're doing, because there's not going to be any hard trails yet. So
Yeah.
it's just going to be a lot of surveying. I'd like to get up there and do some scouting, just try and watch from the hillside, see how they're moving through.
You know, I'm going to say something here, and I'm going to contradict both of you. I don't think the deer movement's going to change that much. Because, let me finish.
Okay.
Hunting Nick's side of the farm, most of the deer filter down from the hillside,
Yeah.
which is where most of the logging is taking place. Mm-hmm. So I think being all those tops and it's going to grow up into thick cover, they're still going to bed on that hillside.
They're definitely still going to bed and use it.
They're still going to come
similarly,
from up
but,
top down to the bottom.
When
but
you're
how
talking
they
about
get there,
yeah, when you're talking about an archery stand, you're hunting a 30-yard circle around your stand.
Maybe you guys.
You're dumb. You're hunting a 30-yard circle around your stand. So if you mess with the area a little bit, you might push those. The deer are still going to use it, but they might move 20 yards one way or another
To get around the top.
to get around tops, or just how they're working through that new cover. So you might need to adjust a stand that used to be money and they were coming right there by it, right in your kill zone. Now they might be just outside of it. You might have to adjust just a little bit depending on how they, because like you said, they're going to use it still. It's just going to be those
Probably
minute
gonna use it
adjustments.
more.
Yeah,
There's going to be more deer there.
yeah, definitely.
yeah. So it's basically like we're not saying that they're not going to bed up there and still come down to the bottom. It's just going to be like Frank said. Even if it adjusts one trail over 15 yards, it could change. You know, whether that bow stand was a good kill spot or not. You might just have to move the stand a little bit. But that's where
But there's really only one stand on that side of the farm that's not on a food source.
Yeah.
So however they come down the hill, if they're coming down to the feed, they're still going to end up in the food source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, this is all stuff we're going to learn as we go. But sometimes, like if you put that much browse on the ground, it may take them longer to get to those food sources in the evening.
Yeah. They might be hanging up in those tops a little bit, and you have to get a little bit closer.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's all.
I definitely think mobile is going to be the ticket this year.
We're just kind of spitballing here. It's all predictions based on experience, which is actually we were talking to Frank when we first started about like we don't have a whole lot of experience hunting freshly logged property, so it's going to be a bit of a learning curve. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean we do, but we didn't have a ton. You're looking at me like I'm an idiot, but
the farm Dad bought was freshly logged.
I get that,
That's
but
all
we-
we hunt is freshly logged property.
but I'm saying we didn't have the experience beforehand. We didn't really hunt that property much at all.
Yeah.
You're applying the knowledge that you've gained over the past few years from hunting that piece.
Well, not even that. I guess what I was getting at is like
We
being
never
familiar.
hunted it
Yeah,
when
being
it was all standing
Before.
timber.
You never had
We
to go
didn't have
through the
to
transition.
relearn. We
Yes.
just started learning. Okay.
Yes.
yeah. That's what I'm getting at is
Well, you said we don't have experience hunting freshly logged timber. Is how
But
you
it
worded
wasn't freshly logged to you. It was already logged when you started hunting it.
yes, we had no experience with it. Came in logged. Now we have a property that we've been hunting for a decade that's getting logged, and then we have to adjust. So like it's different.
No doubt.
yeah.
But you see the mess that the property is, the farm, and how the deer move through it. Like it
I
takes
wouldn't
them
call it a mess. I mean, I see more deer out there than
a mess, as in there's a lot of shit on the ground.
yeah.
Tom's just feeling argumentative
Yeah,
today. He hasn't been
he's gonna-
around in a while.
he's
Anything
literally-
you say.
He's argued every single point we've made.
But no,
Well,
I'm going through that with the cement plant. I've talked about that a couple times. It's a totally different type of logging that we're going to deal with up in Clymer because it was a straight up clear cut.
Oh yeah, we did a very selective cut.
Yeah.
in Clymer.
Yeah, so it's going to be, you're still going to have most of your tree, almost all of your trees, and you're just going to have those areas of tops. And I think it's going to just create more like some pinch points and corridors that they're going to funnel to. Since it is a selective cut, it's going to be open, 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 then it's going to pinch them, then open. And I think it'll make for easier setups as far as like going mobile. You can pick out your spots a little bit better because of that select cut.
And having the trail system, that's actually what this is all rooted to, really. It was to get that thick, basically like get more sunlight to the forest floor, and then getting a trail system installed into the property. Because we actually, Tom and I were looking and considering renting a dozer to do it ourselves, or some sort of piece of equipment to do it. Whether
Yeah.
we, go, borrow my grandpa's skid steer or something.
Yeah.
We were just looking at putting them in ourselves, and then we started spitballing the idea of getting it logged, and we're like, well, it's kind of getting two birds stoned at once. So
That's not how you say that.
I was thinking
Now,
maybe
I'll
you
be
could-
argumentative and say that's not how you
No,
say
that
it.
went back to Trailer Park Boys real quick.
It's a terrible show.
It's hilarious. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I guess let's go divert back over to the fall plots. What are we working with this year, Tommy?
So we're gonna do. I tell you what, food plots, they're a lot of work, and they can be a pain. So what we're doing this year is we're putting in a lot of clover food plots, because once those are planted for the next 5-6 years, you
You're
just
gonna have
mow them.
clover, yeah.
You just mow it. That's it. Maybe spray a little post or whatever, kill the grass.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing clover, we're doing radishes, we're doing. I don't know if I'm gonna say it. 7-card stud.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who makes it. I forget.
I don't either.
Yeah, I have
But
no idea.
it's
I
like-
like it.
yeah, it's
a
great
good-
stuff.
Yeah, it's
It's
a
a
good mix.
perfect mix, and it's one of the. So a lot of times those blends are filled with ryegrass, and that's one thing I guess just to
Just a
throw out
filler.
there. When you guys are buying food plot seed, look at the back, and there's always going to be a percentage chart that tells you exactly what's in the bag, and you want to find ones with as little ryegrass as possible. When you buy like the mixed bags, like 7-card stud or most of your no-tills, there's going to be a lot of ryegrass, but just try to find ones with
Unless you
less.
want
Minimal.
ryegrass.
Yeah, maybe you want ryegrass.
Which, like Frank said, it's a filler. So the 7-card stud we've had really good luck with. It's got a
And I
little,
don't think there's ryegrass in it.
there is a little bit of ryegrass in there.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot as far as that type of food plot stuff goes. There's not much ryegrass.
Yeah,
in
but
it.
they've got
I don't
turnip,
remember the
there's-
exact percentage.
It's so there's obviously then a little bit of ryegrass. There's oats, turnips, clover, rape. There might be chicory. So
Yeah, it's a good mix. I like that stuff a lot.
So I think we've got like 2 plots I think we're going to do with 7-card stud. And it's one that has been taking off well for us. We've been planting that for a couple of years, and it seems to really grow and respond well. So stick with that.
well, it did really well last year until we got 8 inches of rain in 1 week.
Yeah,
Yeah, those when we went through there, and Frank literally had water like almost white caps coming through his food plot.
yeah, it was wild.
So we did all of our planting last year, like late May, early June, which
We got
rookie mistake.
buck wild with it.
Yeah,
we had some nice.
We had such a
weather.
nice June and early July that we got right after it, and then we got all that rain in late June, early July, and it flooded and rotted everything. So we went back through with what little time we had and put in a couple small food plots just to.
And I tell you what,
get
it's a good
something.
thing that we didn't even start in early July because we have had a day and a half of rain in July so far. It's been
Yeah.
Like
wicked
we've gotten
dry,
probably under 2 inches of rain in July. Easy.
way under. Yeah, I mean the couple rains that we've had, it's just been in the past couple days that we've had some rain.
Yeah, so it's a good thing we didn't put food plots in earlier. So I think it's going to benefit us. We got about a week before we do our fall plots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or next
Yeah.
week. Yeah,
Just
last weekend of July.
so in the woods we have 4 food plots, and we kind of have them set up in like a somewhat of a U, kind of through the middle of the property. And kind of the idea of that is to hone deer movement into the middle and keep them moving through the center of the property.
Yeah, it kind of keeps we're hoping anyway that like it keeps their travel away from property lines and keeps them interested on ours.
Yeah,
You know, because we've got like the big field in the center, and then all of the food plots are kind of stationed around the timber, around basically that.
yeah,
big
in their
field.
travel corridors between the big field and whatever bedding they're using or how they're accessing the property.
Yeah, so we want to keep the deer as close to the middle of the property as we can.
You know, you can't control where they go. They're going to cross roads and property lines, but the longer you can keep them interested on your piece, the better.
Yeah, if you can keep their home ground
Somewhere
in the
close.
center of your property, then hopefully they don't stray.
Too far.
Yeah, but then come the rut, who knows?
Yeah, anything can happen.
Well, your buck, I know we've said it before, your buck was on the farm for 2 or 3 days.
4.
4 days.
Showed up my birthday, November 9th, and I
Biggest
shot him
mistake of his life.
the 13th.
It's like almost like a birthday gift for you.
Kind of was.
So
Shame
that was,
you
I mean,
weren't there for it.
that was a rut deer that, we had a lot of bucks on camera, and that was not one of them.
But what we did have last year was a lot of bucks in the rut that we got pictures of early in the season.
Yeah, we
Which
had some sticking around.
we haven't seen before, so that lets me know we're doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, when we get cameras up there finally, the food plot should be in. We get some cameras, and just get to see, because like I said, every year, this property seems to improve a little bit with the buck quality. And I'm hoping, some of them 2-year-olds that we had on camera last year, if they stick around, they should be really nice deer this year.
Yeah.
Because, we had
And we definitely had probably 3 or 4 3.5-year-olds last year.
that seemed to taper off, though, by the time we got to the season, I noticed.
Which that was typical of previous years.
It seemed like a lot of the ones I'm thinking of, we didn't get any pictures after like mid-October.
No, I can think of 3 in my head that we got during the rut.
I guess the one I'm thinking of is the main one is that big 7 that should have been an 8 with the busted.
Yeah, I don't know what
G3.
happened to him.
That was the biggest framed deer I thought we had on camera.
We had the 3 I'm thinking of. Remember that really big 8 that I got a picture of? It was a nighttime picture, November 17th, out in the
Corn or
yeah.
the perspected corn.
Yeah. And then I had another 8-point who was not nearly that heavy, but he was 20 plus inches wide out in one of the smaller food plots in the field. And then I had a picture of it was a video of a buck that crossed Frank's food plot. He was
that was late in the season.
Yeah, he was an 8. He was probably only 16 inches wide, but his bases were super heavy, and his G2s and G3s were super tall. So
Yeah.
3 different.
I guess, yeah, it was just that 7 he had like the biggest frame. It wasn't real heavy, but super tall. Came out like big sweeping main beams, which was nice. But so hopefully, a couple.
But every
another
year
couple
we've
weeks.
noticed them stay a little bit longer. Because
Yeah.
before it was like after the first 2 weeks it was shot. Like it was almost worthless to hunt up there.
Yeah,
but-
and if you just had to catch something crossing through in the
Yeah.
rut, and you didn't dare let a 4-corn walk by it 1st,
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
But I guess while we're up there too, we got a couple tree stands to check out, trim up.
Mm-hmm.
But like Frank said at the beginning, I think
Yeah, it's definitely think
standing sticks is going to be the key for this year, just to try and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, especially like Tom said, I think those main stand locations, the permanent ones that we have, because we do a lot of mobile stuff anyway, but I think you're going to want to go mobile around those permanent stands just to kind of figure out
Away from
if
the food
anything
plots, yeah.
changes. Yeah, exactly. Like your stand that you always hunt out of, I think, because there's a little bit of logging going on, or it's more up
Yeah.
the hill and
Which we don't
across.
really have. That's one we don't have any permanent sets up on that hill except way at the top. Tom's got that one stand over. It's not really even in the woods, overlooking the big field.
Yeah.
So that'll be, I think, a key is just being able to move around there. That stand we pulled last year out of the cherry tree, closer to your side,
yeah.
somewhere in that area is going to be hot this year because they're
there's
doing a lot of
bunch
logging
yeah,
over there.
there's a lot of trees coming down over there.
Or no, it's the one that's in the maple that you told me was in the cherry the first time I went after it. It's the one that you have to there's no trail or anything to. There's nothing good to
The one that's near the edge of the swamp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that there was no landmarks or anything to give you a direction. It's like
Yeah,
go to
you
the
just
bottom of the
walk.
field, walk a 45-degree angle into the woods.
Hopefully you get there.
Well, and I wasn't there when Tom hung it, and he's like, yeah, it's like in a cherry right on the edge. So I'm like looking for cherry. Finally find it in a maple tree.
Next to a cherry.
Yeah.
Well,
He was close.
how many cherries are on that property?
A lot.
Fair few.
But it was a great spot, but I don't know why we pulled that one actually.
We never hunted it. It was just, we had stuff, we went mobile near it, and I had a permanent stand. I have my double over near it, and I can damn near see to it, which my double is more of a rifle stand anyway, but
That stand was on a telephone pole. You had
Yeah, no-
zero
Yeah, that's
cover. Zero.
But you were catching them coming like up out of the swamp, and it was kind of like on a bend in the swamp. So if they were running that high side, it was like they came around a bend, and they were right on you. As soon as they were gonna see you, you already had them.
Yeah.
But still, I don't like stands that are no cover because you never know.
Yeah, just telephone poles. I just that's why I don't like climbers for rifles or for bow season. Is because you kind of need a telephone pole.
Yeah.
But if you can find a telephone pole with a hemlock
Oh,
kind
that's
of wrapping
the
around
best.
it, oh, that's money.
Oh yeah.
That was actually one of Dad's favorite stands. He killed a couple bucks out of, and the one year he went in there all excited to hunt it, and his tree was tipped right over it. It had fallen down.
Gotta love it.
So
Tom and I had a real sweet spot at the cement plant the one time. We both had a telephone pole with a hemlock kind of right behind it. And we almost got a buck on camera that night because Tom had already killed a buck. And a nice buck, it wasn't like a giant buck, but it was a nice buck, came in that night and just couldn't quite cap. Tom could have shot it, but I didn't have a shot at it. We were in different trees, so it was just
how close were you guys to each other?
not
Very
far.
close.
Yeah, 5 yards.
Well, we had that sweet setup. Were we on Crane?
Yeah, yeah. We
When
went
we
up
climbed
the same, tree. Yeah,
And
that
I
was,
started puking.
yeah.
That's a.
We didn't see
interesting-
any deer that night.
Would you get sick or something, or what?
I had some bad orange chicken.
I don't believe you.
That's exactly
No,
what
that's
happened. There was
exactly
no
what it was.
alcohol involved. It was just
Really?
Chinese food.
Yeah, just really. It was a very impressive puke. Frank looked over. He's like, "Did you just
I
throw
didn't.
up?"
I heard his puke hit the ground, but I did not hear him make a sound. Like it was an impressive puke. I mean, you don't want to see it in the woods, but
No.
No.
we didn't see a deer that night. But it was a good story.
Good spot
I had
too.
fun. Oh, it was a great spot. I see a lot of nice bucks in that area, but not that night.
Well, thanks for that.
You live and you learn.
Moving back to the fall plots, what have you been working on? Like you said, you've missed the past couple weeks. What have you been working on to get us prepped for this
So,
coming week?
I'm trying something new here because one of the things I hate in my food plots is weeds. Drives me up a wall. So one thing that I've realized is there's already seeds in the ground. I don't
Yeah.
know how long they've been there. They've been there forever. But when you rototill ground, those seeds
You're
come
promoting
up.
growth. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I did this year was early, like late May, early June, I went through and sprayed everything that I planned on planting. And then it took a while, but then those seeds in the ground germinated like 2 months later. So then I went back through, sprayed everything twice. So I'm hoping now when I go through and rototill, no weeds in the food plot. So that's what I've been working on.
Looks good on paper.
Yeah, we'll see if it checks out.
They do look a lot better than they have in the past. Like when you spray Roundup.
Yeah.
Because it seems like you spray all your Roundup and you go up there and there's still green. You know, like in patches. You know, obviously if you miss an area, it's very obvious. But even if you look at it and there's most of it's dead, but there's still green undergrowth and stuff, and it is aggravating. It's like you spend all this time spraying and it's still coming up through. So it does look a lot better this year, and it'll be easier on the rototiller.
Oh,
the,
for
the-
sure.
The ground tills up a lot easier without all of the living vegetation.
So I got everything killed. We're going up next weekend. And another thing I want to do different, I'm going to try out is before we rototill, I want to spread the fertilizer.
Till it right into the
Yeah,
ground.
till it right in with the soil.
It'll be easier to push the broadcast spreader.
I figure we just do it like we did last
With
year,
the
just
mule.
ride on the back of the mule.
Yeah, that was slick.
But I didn't like it last year because we rototilled everything, and then we went through and spread fertilizer. But then you put all those track marks and pack half of the soil, and then you're throwing seed right on top of the fertilizer. So I think if we spread the fertilizer
Till it
and then
in.
till it in, and then we can spread the seed and roll it, we'll get way better soil seed contact.
I'm into that.
I think that's a good idea.
So yeah, we're planting clover, chicory, a little bit of alfalfa, some oats, brassica, turnips.
I'm doing that mean
Yeah,
bean.
Nick's doing mean bean.
What is that?
It's got soybeans, lab, and
Legumes or something.
yeah, one other thing.
What?
Legumes. It's like
Legumes?
yeah, I
I
think
don't
it's.
even know what that is.
I think that's the. I think it's another name for bean. Pretty sure. But it's like
It
a.
had a big picture of a buck on the back.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
bound to produce.
No, the reason I mainly went with it is because it has that forage style soybean that I
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to try again. I like the idea of those because they keep growing back after the deer eat the pods.
Yeah.
It's not like a traditional soybean that
They
yellows.
nip them and then
Well,
it's
yeah, they
done.
eat them and it's done, and then they yellow in the fall. These are supposed to stay green and continuously keep growing bean pods as they get bitten off. So
And Lab's huge down in Texas. I don't really know what it is, but
It's a bean, though?
I don't know. It's called mean bean. I don't know.
no, the main reason I got it was for the
Forage.
forage beans. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do in a lot of these food plots is I'm going to underseed everything with clover and then mix in some turnips and radishes for the late season. Mm-hmm. But then next year, the clover will just come back. I can just mow it,
Yeah.
and it's not going to be near the headache.
Yeah, it's just been very labor intensive this year, just trying to get all of our plots in working order.
So, yeah.
I think that about wraps it up for me. Unless you guys have any final remarks. But the time is now for fall food plots, so make sure you guys are getting them in if you're putting them in. And if you're not planting food plots, just make sure you guys are still finding a reason to get outside.